doesn't it bring a tear to your eye? The very car that used to drive up to the very Crossroads motel. Well, tonight will be the 4,508th edition. Only 4 left, and the whole show is being axed on Sunday after 24 years. Well, is it good riddance to bad rubbish as far as you're concerned, or is it a sad moment in the history of British soaps?
Yeah, we can prove it all actually exists today, because this is the Penn's Hall Hotel in North Birmingham, where all the exterior shots for Crossroads was actually filmed, and it is a real hotel.
You'd have thought, though, somebody would have come to meet me, wouldn't you?
Somebody at least to carry the bags.
I'll take your bags for you, Miss Patsy. Hello, Eamon.
Hello, Benny. You're much nicer in real life.
Oh, thank you very much.
Now, you, in fact, were one of the people in the latest troubles of Crossroads who actually got the old
oh, yeah.
elbow, didn't you?
Yeah, the canteen lady told me.
You didn't actually know?
Well, what they did, that they did need my woolly hat to warm the motel teapotty, and one of us had to go. Well, anyway, come on.
Will you take me a look round?
Yeah, because I've got to take Moses for a walk now.
Okay.
All right.
Well, will they go and find out the sights of the hotel? Let me tell you that the whole end of Crossroads happens on Easter Monday night. That's when the final episode will take place. Now, today we'll be sort of wallowing in nostalgia. We'll also be answering your direct questions, your forthright opinions, what you thought of Crossroads. Should it have come to an end? Should there be a spin-off series? Whatever, whatever. 061-814-0424 is the number to ring. But let's now take a look at some of the memories contained in Crossroads. We've put together this little compilation of its history.
Look, come and sit down a minute.
OK, but only for a little while. So, Amy says it's all happening for you.
What, with the motel, you mean? Yeah, looks like it. All I have to do is sign on the dotted line.
So you finally hit the big time.
Well, I wouldn't say that. But the old bank balance is looking a bit healthier every minute.
Oh, good.
This was just one of the many locations, of course, used for Crossroads throughout the years, wasn't it?
This was the cosiest.
Yes,
Really?
we had our leisure centre as well, which was the House of Robin.
Mm.
Right.
We had Tamworth and Arden as well.
Tamworth,
It was
yes.
very, very nice.
Yeah. And you, Jane, have, of course, been involved in the series right from day one in 1964 or so. And a lot's made of the fact, you know, the pressure that soap stars are under and whatever. But apparently, Crossroads had the most punishing schedule of the lot. I mean, you had more...
It was an assault course, it wasn't a show. Joking apart.
Mind you, having said that, the first 20-something years weren't quite so bad. It's the last 4 that have been more than an assault course because of going out filming.
Right, you weren't used to this, of course. This was a new added
we
dimension.
were doing 4 shows a week. We were in the studio for 2 whole, quite long days. Then we had 3 days rehearsal, but during that rehearsal we were out filming as well. So we were rushing around like mad. It started out at 6:30, 7. Well, I'd leave the house at 6:30, go in for makeup at 7:30, go out on the bus to the location, sit around for a bit, do a scene.
But
Then
filming 8 episodes.
Then they'd say, "Are you going back to rehearsal?" Say, "Oh, I'll get the next week's script and look at what I was supposed to have learned for rehearsal."
So were all the old jokes true, where people criticised the quality of the programme and the sets falling down and actors forgetting their lines?
That was because of the tight schedule originally, because we didn't have time to do retakes. It didn't. It did get better.
We did actually have editing facilities. We didn't have any editing facilities or anything. Yeah. We had 3/4 of an hour to do the show. We started at 7 o'clock, say, for the evening show. And we had to finish by 7:45. So if we didn't start on the dot of 7 o'clock, if we didn't get actually started till 7:10, time was ticking away. So there was no chance. So that you could go back if you made a dreadful... If everything went wrong in the first scene, you could go back and do it. If everything went wrong in the last scene...
But people loved that. They ran a book. There was one university that actually ran a book on mistakes. I mean, it was part of the fun. This is why Crossroads was so popular. It was part of the fun.
And also, bear in mind, we had to be absolutely spot on time. So we wouldn't get a run until we did the dress run. And then they'd say, "Oh, we're 2.5 minutes under. Quick, what are we going to do?" "Oh, I know. You can pour some coffee. You can have a phone call. Do this." And then, of course, no one told props that you were going to have coffee. So they'd bring the coffee in and put it down. You'll pick the coffee pot up and think, "There's no coffee in it."
But Jane said something very interesting the other day, and that is that when Crossroads originally went on, you know, it went on for 6 weeks and 6 weeks only. And throughout that period of time, it has always been coming off. And in a funny way for us, it was a blessed relief, because after 24 years of thinking, is it going to run another year, we actually knew where we stood for once.
Because for so many times I've opened the papers and Crossroads is off, or there's been a great rumour around the studios, Crossroads is off. And this time it was for real.
Let me get this straight. You were Glenda's cousin, right?
That's right.
But you had an affair not only with Glenda's brother, but Glenda's husband, isn't this right? And you also accused Glenda's father, correct me if I'm wrong, of raping you, or rape, is that right? Have I got this right?
This did happen over many years.
But you did have a social conscience, you tell me. You're a kind, caring person.
As Iris, Iris has a problem as a character because she came from a broken home, chip on the shoulder, you know, typical soap character. But I always felt that, you know, as Angela Webb, there's no way I'd have got into any of her situations.
We'll believe you on that one. But do you think it was a bit contrived, the storyline?
No, not at all, because as the storyline goes along, people are writing to you saying, like, I've been in that situation and you're acting it out, and this is how I felt, and I believe what you're doing. And that makes you think, yes, although sometimes you read them and, well, maybe to me this is a bit far-fetched, but to somebody out there, it's their problem.
I began watching Crossroads when I was 6 years old, believe it or not. The family watched it, and I can remember playing in the garden with my sisters, and some friends of theirs were with them. And they said, oh, have you seen this new programme which has just started? And they all flocked into the house, and I joined in because I didn't want to be left alone in the garden. And it started from there, really. And then throughout my teens, it became very important for me because I had a bad adolescence. And I started a comic, and I even had a Crossroads comic strip. And I would write Crossroads stories of my own based on what was happening and the characters who were in the programme at the moment. And I was criticised and laughed at for watching it. So eventually I started keeping it to myself. And it was almost a secret. I collected everything I could about Crossroads, books that were published, anything in the newspapers. In fact, I collected TV Times for 7 years until I had no more room for them and I had to throw them out. But I did keep the bits relating to Crossroads. Meg was my favourite character in Crossroads. And she still is, even though she's gone. She represents the mother figure, I think, to many, many people, and especially myself. The perfect mother, who could do no wrong. April the 14th, every year, I visit Noel's grave in Ross-on-Wye. Beautiful little town, market town. And I feel this is a way of thanking her for all the happiness she brought over the years. When I heard that Crossroads was going to end, I felt sad, as if I knew that a friend was dying. So I've set up the society, the Noel Gordon and Crossroads Appreciation Society, hopefully to keep the whole thing going in a small way, but under the control of the fans and those who've loved it. I've always been upset by criticism of Crossroads because it has been the most criticised programme. But as Sir Lou Grade said, I make programmes for the viewers and not for the critics. Sadly, I never met Noel Gordon or any of the Crossroads cast, but obviously I'd love to. It'd be a wonderful
Are you going to be sorry
game.
to see it all come to an end, Angela, even though you're not involved in it?
Yes, actually, watching the programme, your programme this morning, I've laughed a lot, and I've also felt really watery in the eyes. I thought, this is awful. And listening to the chap that was on earlier on, God, my heart really went out to him. I thought, this is terrible for people, really.
And did you live in hope of Iris coming back into the programme?
I was 5 months pregnant when I left. I sort of walked around for about 3 months with a tray in front of my stomach, so I was quite relieved to go in the end.
Angela Webb, lovely talking to you today. Actually, there are loads of people at home that go and say, oh, yes, I remember her. Yes,
That's
I remember her
right,
face
that's
and whatever.
right, yeah.
Lynette, for the moment, thank you very much
Thank
indeed.
you.
Pat Osborne, thank you very much indeed for telling us about the Crossroads Care Scheme, and long may it flourish.